Ian from Metaswitch, great to meet you.
And Steve, nice to meet you.
You know, Metaswitch has had a reputation, I think, in our industry as a pioneer for a long time. I mean, you're truly a pioneer of NFV. At this event, BCE, you've been talking about something else that you're pioneering.
Yep.
You know, cloud native. What is that?
In a word, cloud native is really our approach to building NFV and bringing it to market, and our view is that it's really NFV done right, if you will. You know, NFV has been talked about for several years now, and
4 years, yeah, 4 years since we started.
It's been quite a while
since it reared its head, and took over the industry.
That's right.
Yeah,
and we've gone through the hype curve, and you know, I think there's a view that NFV was going to provide, you know, tremendous benefits in terms of OpEx, CapEx savings, et cetera. I think what we realized is that, in large part, what the vendor community has stepped forward with is a first implementation in NFV, which is virtualizing existing network functions.
Yeah.
So we've kind of gone from the PNFs to the VNFs, if you will, physical network functions to virtual network functions. Our view, though, to realize, I think, the holy grail, the greater opportunity for savings and truly operationalizing, bringing operational savings into the equation, is that NFV has to be done somewhat differently.
Right.
And that is to actually implement something that we're calling cloud native functions.
Right.
So our view is that you need to go from, not necessarily from PNFs to VNFs, but from PNFs to CNFs.
So you need to, in that case, discard your original code, start again with the service, and write it right, as it were. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's actually what a lot of operators are asking.
Yeah.
Like, do you need to start off with new code? Do you need to, you know, go back to scratch, if you will? And our view actually is that you do. That you can't take the existing monolithic software that's, you know, instantiated in physical network functions today.
Yeah.
Decouple it from the hardware and move it to virtual machines. You really need to rewrite it based on cloud native design principles.
Right. And who defines the cloud native design principles?
Yeah.
I mean, who is the holder of the keys to this kingdom?
I don't think there's, you know, there's no standardization in terms of what cloud native is. I think there's industry convention in thinking about what cloud native means. It's actually concepts and thinking that's been in the industry for 10 years. It's more prevalent in the IT space.
Yes.
But we sort of roll up the cloud native design principles into 4 categories.
Yeah.
We think the embracing and writing software from around stateless processing is critical, and that's one pillar of cloud native design.
Yep.
Another is microservices.
Yes.
Another is containerization, and another is orchestration.
Right.
And so these 4 design principles are what we use as a litmus test to you know, test whether something is truly cloud native.
Right. And can you help service providers actually write these applications, or give them advice on how to do this, or point them in the right direction?
We are. We're actually talking to a lot of leading, you know, mobile operators, or a lot of large carriers, let's say, that are really looking to realize that kind of the promise of NFV, and want to do NFV right, and providing devices to, this is how we've done cloud native design, this is how you need to basically measure and evaluate your suppliers in terms of, can they deliver the benefits that NFV has promised?
Absolutely.
Right, and this is the measuring stick.
Yeah.
Right, and so, you know, we are very clearly sitting down and defining these 4 things that I just described, and that's how they need to evaluate what the vendors are supplying to them.
Yeah, and in a sense, I mean, we've gotten so caught up in the issues with interoperability on NFVI infrastructure that we've sort of lost track of what it's for, which is carrying these next generational digital services, and doing that in a native format is, of course, why NFV was first posited as a great solution. But you know, we've sort of almost got derailed by the complexity, I think, of it. So it's great that Metaswitch is kind of rising above this. I'll tell you something else which I find fascinating is at this show at BCE in Austin, what you're saying mirrors almost verbatim what BT told me at a board meeting of the new IP agency a couple of days ago, where they were saying, you know what, NFV is super complicated. Super complicated virtualized infrastructure isn't the business which we're in. The business we're in is services. So they're really focusing above the infrastructure level to work out what they should be offering as a service and how they can do that over a virtualized infrastructure. That seems like, I mean, there seems like a sort of Vulcan mind meld there. I mean, is BT one of the companies that you think is leading the charge in this in the true sort of cloud native application space?
Yeah, BT is definitely one of them. AT&T is another that we work very closely with. We're actually named as one of their suppliers in the domain 2.0, right, which is their cloud infrastructure and migrating their existing network into the cloud.
Right.
Verizon, Deutsche Telekom, or others that are very vocal in this space.
Yeah.
I think the narrative around NFV has really sort of changed and transformed over the past couple of years. I think it really started off as more of I would say maybe a bottoms-up, technology-driven initiative that was really focused on decoupling software from hardware, moving to COTS and achieving some degree of CapEx savings. But I think your comments and what these leading carriers are thinking of today is more of a top-down services orientation, which is really to realize the ultimate benefit of dramatically changing their existing cost structures. It's not sufficient just to do it from a CapEx savings. You have to achieve dramatic OpEx savings as well.
I'll tell you the other thing, they've lost patience at this point. I mean, there are a lot of very frustrated service providers and there's been a lot of missteps. So the trust level in the service provider sector is pretty low right now. So I think they're waiting for some leadership from the vendor community. Stop fiddle-faddling around with the bits and bytes, and the fact that there are so many different specifications and ways to do things is not really helpful. They're looking for consensus, but they're also looking for a stronger business case, and that's really what cloud native gives them. It sort of speaks their language, doesn't it? It's like,
it does.
These are the services of the future, and this is how you deploy them. Fascinating stuff. I mean, is anybody actually deploying cloud native applications right now, or is this still a future?
It's for the most part future. We're obviously in the marketplace with our cloud native applications and VNFs, if you will. Yeah. And we're bringing those to market. We've actually instantiated our suite of solutions for fixed and mobile, operators, and what we're bringing to market is fully cloud native. Yeah. And I think carriers are now reaching a point where I think they understand the benefits clearly. They understand that these are now table stakes requirements. And it is going to require that they begin to look outside of the traditional vendors. They look at more of the meta switches, to build a next generation core network infrastructure around. Right. And so I think that's an evaluation phase and a journey that they're just starting down.
Right. One of the things which emerged at the NIA board meeting at this event is that there isn't a common dictionary of terms to describe how to develop and run next generation services over virtualized networks. I mean, guys, we've been doing this for 4 years and we're speaking different languages. I mean, it's so European. No, I mean, it's hopeless. So part of the mission that NIA's service providers members have given us for the coming year is to define a taxonomy of cloud native. Do you think we can get Metaswitch involved in helping to define that? It sounds like you guys would be a terrific peer review partner for that.
Yeah, no, we're more than happy to, would be very excited about participating in that effort. Yeah. And I think certainly, as I mentioned, we have a very good understanding of what the main pillars of cloud native design and design principles. Yeah. When you go into the next level of discussion around what is microservices and what is containerization and what are the benefits, et cetera, you're right. You get into the classic, telco speak and alphabet soup, et cetera. Yeah. And I think it's very important that we really, for clarity, all converge on a common speak, if you will, so that we're all talking the same thing. Yeah. We've gone into several design, meetings with large carriers over the past 1 or 2 years, and we say, we have cloud native, and they're going like, well, I know what cloud native means. Exactly. What do you mean by cloud native?
Yeah, I know we had exactly this in the meeting. Somebody was talking about a standardized service model, and then somebody else was like, that's not a service model, that's a data model. It's like, okay, let's just draw a line through that. Yeah. For God's sake, don't give it to the open source people to define, because then we'll get another committee. But we're going to do that, and we'll put our best minds on it. And I'm excited that Metaswitch will be involved in it. You guys have got a terrific reputation at light reading and heavy reading for being pioneers in this technology. I mean, you really were one of the first pioneers of NFV. You're being a pioneer of cloud native, and I think that's fantastic. I think you're speaking a language which service providers are really looking to embrace right now. So congratulations on that, Ian.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Look forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah, well, the way I actually, sorry if I can just
please,
the way I actually look at Metaswitch, I think we're uniquely positioned in the marketplace in that we're a nice combination of a trusted, established company that's serves hundreds of customers, has systems that are that are commercially deployed that have 5 nines, 6 nines service availability, et cetera. Yet we do have the very innovative bleeding edge technologies and the concepts around cloud native, et cetera, that is, you would normally expect maybe comes from smaller startup types of companies.
Right.
So we're that blend of, I think, established and trusted versus innovative and disruptive.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think we are unique in the industry, and where we can really help kind of lead this next wave of evolution towards next generation cloud native networks.
There are three, I think, different criteria which are required in order to be a useful engine in the service provider community. You need to be innovative, you need to be trusted, you can't just be coming out of left field, but you also need to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And that's super important, because telecom is about striating solutions and making them interoperable, and then moving forward the great engine of innovation that we've been famous for 150 years. So I think obviously you can be a significant cog in that machine.
Exactly, yeah, really appreciate that.
Great, Ian. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much,
buddy.
Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.